The vast oceans of our planet hold many secrets, some of which we don't even need to dive beneath the water to find as they wash up on shore for confused beachgoers and experts to ponder about. What's the strangest thing you have ever come across on a beach? Let me know in the comments. I'm your host James, and I'm here to tell you why what washed up on shore is baffling scientists. Alright, let's start off with a super recent one. This mysterious object that washed to shore in Green Head Beach in Australia. A big cylindrical object covered in barnacles washed up on shore. Beachgoers and authorities were completely dumbfounded as to what it could be. As of now, there are no official statements on what the object might be or where it even came from, but some members of the Australian Space Agency speculate it could be from a rocket. But of course, everyone's been coming up with their own ideas as to what this object could be, ranging from marine debris to fragments of lost machinery or even extraterrestrial origins. But one hypothesis was that it could be a piece of the missing flight MH370 that disappeared back in 2014. Unfortunately though, authorities have denied that, saying that the object is not part of a plane. Plus, if it were part of that plane, the object would be in far worse condition, seeing as that flight went down like 9 years ago, so it would have a bit more than just barnacles covering it. But at this point, we'll just have to wait and see. Next up, we have the Mermaid. This is another very recent finding, just like a week ago at the time we're recording this video. This is a puzzling picture of mysterious remains found on an Australian beach, which has got a lot of people talking online, including marine life experts. The skeletal remains resembled a mermaid kind of shape, and they were discovered by 34-year-old Bobby Lee Oates while walking along Keppel Sands, Queensland. Oates described the creature as approximately 6 feet long, with a human-shaped skull, an elongated jawline, and hair resembling that of a cow or kangaroo, though some hair was missing due to a decomposition. The remains appeared to have a tail or a limb of some sort too. Really freaky looking thing to come across while on a stroll at the beach. Oates shared her findings in the marine biology Facebook group. Experts like Rob DeVille from UK Cetacean Strandings Investigation Program suggested the possibility of it being a small cetacean species. However, due to unfamiliarity with the region's typical species, he couldn't really confirm any further. Next up, we have the beaked whale. On May 15th, 2022, the remains of a beaked whale were found on a California beach located in Jug Handle State Natural Reserve. Experts were a bit puzzled as to what actually happened to the creature though. It was covered in scrapes and scratches, and they were unable to determine exactly how it died. Now, that's not all that strange. I mean, the ocean, it's a big place, right? A lot can go down there, but they were also unsure as to exactly what species of beaked whale they were dealing with here. There are said to be about 24 different species of these animals, many of which haven't been studied all that extensively because they're very rare to see alive or dead for that matter, and can dive pretty deep, and they spend a lot of time down there, so it's a pretty interesting find. And at number 7, we have the giant eyeball. In 2012, a mysterious giant eyeball washed ashore on Pompano Beach, leaving experts baffled about where, or more importantly, what this thing came from. The eyeball was roughly the size of a softball and initially sparked various speculations among marine biologists and the fine folks of the internet, of course. Some hypothesized it belonged to a giant squid or a colossal squid due to its size and appearance. Others thought that it could be maybe from a large fish species, like a big shark. However, further analysis and examination of the eye's structure and the genetic material eventually led to solving the mystery. A research administrator for Florida's Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, Tom Reinert, was able to determine that the eyeball came from a large swordfish, which was later confirmed by comparing the DNA from the eye with samples taken from swordfish species. Yeah, swordfish, they just have really big eyes. They swim at depths of like 1,640 to 8,200 feet below the sea, and it gets pretty dark down there. Number 6, gold. Back in September of 2020, residents of a small village in Venezuela got quite a pleasant surprise. All started when Johann Laris, a 25-year-old fisherman, found a gold medallion with an image of the Virgin Mary washed up on the beach. The news spread pretty quickly among the villagers, and many others started finding their own treasures, mostly like gold rings. This would be an incredible find for anyone, but it was especially amazing for these struggling villagers, selling some of the pieces for $1,500 to buy much needed food. Times have been very tough, especially considering when all this was taking place, 2020, the year everyone tries their best to forget. Waka and neighboring villages in the Paria Peninsula, once major suppliers of sardines and canned tuna, had suffered severely due to economic collapse. Many sardine warehouses closed, and government-run tuna canning factories had gone out of business. Now, as to the origin of the gold, that remains a mystery, which is kind of cool. Various theories began circulating though among the villagers, and again, the fine folks of the internet. Some thought it could be linked to folklore and legends of like sunken pirate ships. Tests on the treasure and jewelry determined it could have been of European origin and was made in recent decades though. And more good news, since the discovery, the village has experienced positive changes. Sardines have returned to the shores after like a 4-month absence at the time. Gasoline supply had improved following significant shortages. Many locals saw this fortunate turn of events as some sort of divine intervention, attributing the gold's appearance to a higher power setting its agenda. How about that? Positive story for once. Next up, we have Headless Penguins. And that's more like it, right back to the usual. Can't have more than one good story in a row. Back in April of 2022, dozens of headless penguins started washing up on shore in Australia. In April, approximately 20 penguin bodies washed ashore on South Australia's Fleur Peninsula beaches, surpassing the total penguin deaths in the area for the entirety of 2021. Stephen Hedges, a Flinders University volunteer, collected these dead animals for scientific study to understand the cause of these decapitations. Hedges and others discovered both the penguin bodies and their severed heads, and direct human involvement was ruled out since the deaths occurred at sea. But Hedges speculated that fishing boat propellers might be responsible due to the high number of vessels in the area at the time. In a typical year, 10 to 20 dead penguins washed up on shore, but the sudden increase in April of that year raised concern among scientists. Hedges mentioned a tuna fishing competition off Encounter Bay could have attracted penguins near boats. Tourism during the Easter and Anzac weekends may have also played a role as visitor numbers increased. Some tourists walked along the beaches with dogs, potentially affecting the penguins. Fox predation was considered as another possibility. Scientists explored other theories including waves, currents, and climatic conditions causing the decapitations, but the scale of these deaths made that explanation a bit less likely. Number 4, I'm just gonna call this one the Philippines monster. So back in September of 2017, this massive sized creature washed up on the island of Leyte. The creature was never 100% identified as it was in a pretty bad state. Not sure if you can tell by these pictures, but decomposition is in full effect here. This thing is most likely a whale, but still, what a sight. This looks like a scene out of Jurassic Park or something, or Star Wars. Kind of looks like a Star Wars type creature. Nuge Capistrano had been walking along the beach when he spotted the carcass, saying, quote, "I was just passing by the beach and took some photos. I was surprised because it's too big and it's the first time I saw that kind of creature. The creature was already dead when I saw it. The smell was too bad. I can't describe it, but it was a bad smell." Yeah, no kidding. It does not look like it smells good. Up next, we have the Ainsdale Anomaly. On Wednesday, July 29th, 2020, a man who wished to remain anonymous discovered the carcass of this thing on Ainsdale Beach in England. The man stated that, quote, "It had 4 flippers which made it look most weird. It was furry. It was approximately 15 feet long. It had bones sticking out everywhere, approximately 4 feet long. Some of them stunk too." Yeah, surprised that thing wouldn't smell good. It looks so like appetizing. Photos of this mess were shared online and everyone started speculating as to what it was, with some saying it looked like the remains of a woolly mammoth, a horse. I definitely see that. Or a whale. I do not see that. But then again, whatever it is, or was rather, it's very decomposed, so who knows. All I know is if I came across this thing while trying to just have a relaxing stroll down the beach, I'd be incredibly disappointed. Like, it's an interesting find, sure, but like sometimes I just don't really feel like vomiting. You know, call me crazy. Next up, we have feet. So since 2007, around 21 human feet have washed up onshore in British Columbia and Washington State, the bodies of which have never been found, for the most part anyway. A handful have been solved, like the most recent finding in 2019, a foot in a boot, which was linked back to a man named Antonio Neal, who had gone missing 3 years prior. Pretty disturbing thing to find, but also quite confusing. Why just feet? For a long time, people feared that maybe a certain type of sadistic criminal or criminals were responsible, taking the lives of their victims before dismembering them. But in December of 2017, the BC Coroner's Service made a statement that foul play had been ruled out, saying that the feet looked as if they were separated in the natural decomposition process, and that these were, the remains of people who had either died in accidents or taken their own lives. The reason why the feet were discovered but not the rest of the bodies is because they were mostly found in sneakers, which helped protect the feet and made them buoyant enough so that they would eventually float to shore. Still pretty macabre. And coming in at number 1, we have the Montauk Monster. In July 2008, a super weird, freaky looking creature washed up on the beach in Montauk, New York, caused a massive stir because nobody could figure out what this adorable creature was. The thing had no hair, it was all bloated, it had these gnarly sharp teeth and claws. Looks like it kind of has a bit of a snout too. People went kind of crazy, and pics of the creature spread like wildfire online. Everyone had their own theories about this mysterious beast. Some said it might be a decomposed raccoon. I think that's the most likely case. Others thought it could be a sea turtle, like really, or some exotic animal. Some even wonder if it was all just a big prank or prop from a movie. The media went nuts. I'm sure most of you have seen images of this thing before, right? Experts and local officials were scratching their heads too, but nobody could say for sure what it really was. With all that said though, I've been your host James, and I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.